What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to another episode of Habs After Dark, guys. Thanks for joining us. I apologize for the delay. Had some technical difficulties getting set up, but I think we're ready to go now. Everything seems to be in order. We're missing some graphics here for whatever reason, but I don't quite understand. But it doesn't really matter. We'll figure it out. We'll get it going as we go. I apologize, but yeah, welcome to the show. What a great occasion! What a great night! Montreal Canadiens with a another overtime victory. Right, 3 games in this series. All 3 games have gone to overtime. Tonight, the Canadiens are able to defeat the Tampa Bay Lightning 3-2 in overtime on another goal from Mr. Lane Hutson, Super Lane Hutson, as they called him on the French broadcast tonight. Slap shot from the point. When's the last time we saw Lane Hutson score on a slap shot from the point? Never, maybe? As they say in French, une garnotte. The word of the night is garnotte. C'est une garnotte de Lane Hutson. Brings me back to my days growing up playing hockey in Baie-d'Urfé and Saint-Anne-de-Bellevue for the Saint-Anne-de-Bellevue Saints, playing with all the French kids from Saint-Anne-de-Bellevue. Garnotte was a commonly used word that I've never really heard in any other context in my life. Garnotte, slap shot from the point. I don't know exactly how the translation works or how all of that works, but yeah, that's what we saw tonight. Lane Hutson with the game-winning goal. He continues to do special things. He's a special player, and I still stand by Lane Hutson, best defenseman in the NHL. Habs Mike 25, huge win by Montreal. Glad Doc played a great game. Marty knows more than we do, and he trusted Doc. Yes, absolutely. I agree with that sentiment completely and 100%. The coaching staff and the general manager and the organization knows a little bit more. The reason Kirby Doc has been in the lineup despite having some struggles since coming back from his latest injuries is that they know, one, that he continues to get better, and they also know that his upside is very, very great. When he's playing the way he's capable of, the things he's able to do and the things he's able to bring to the team when he's on the ice are very, very, very special. And he can do things out there that perhaps, obviously, the idea of bringing Brendan Gallagher back into the lineup is a big one. It's I don't have any issue with bringing Brendan Gallagher back into the lineup. However, Kirby Doc brings a totally different element to the game when he's able to bring his best. And that line tonight, Bolduc and Deno and no, not Deno, Texier, but Bolduc, Texier, and Anderson. Jesus Christ, I can't even get my name straight. Bolduc with Doc and Texier looked very good tonight. They looked great, and they were probably the best line for Montreal tonight. They combined to score the first 2 goals of the game. But like Habs Mike 30 or Habs Mike 25, I'm very, very happy to see that Kirby Doc was able to shut up those fans, both the ones that are sort of really, really off the chain, sending him DMs, causing him to shut down his social media, but also the ones who are promoting this false narrative that somehow Kirby Doc is a detriment to the Montreal Canadiens. And yeah, I'm happy that all of that happened tonight. What a game, says Billy D. Yes, Billy D, I agree. What a game. What a time to be a Montreal Canadiens fan. The crowd was, as anticipated, very, very special. Froyo says over on TikTok, the fans fired him up tonight. All lines can score. Yeah, it was just the Canadiens brought their A game tonight, and it wasn't just the victory in overtime, which obviously is huge. But, for the most part, at 5-on-5, the Canadiens were able to dominate the Tampa Bay Lightning. They dominated them in just about every single category at 5-on-5. The numbers are a little bit closer when it comes to the all situations scenario because of the additional power play or power plays that the Tampa Bay Lightning ended up getting. But Montreal was, for the third game in a row, the better team. So Lane Hutson now has 3 points in these playoffs to add to the 5 points that he had in the 5 games of the series against Washington last year. So now he's 5 points in 5 games, 7 points in 7 games for Lane Hutson now in his career. Surprised he's a -7 in the playoffs so far in his career, which kind of surprises me. But Lane Hutson, again, the hero tonight with the overtime goal. Assists are from, who were the assists tonight? Who got the assists? Texier and Bolduc. So that was Texier's 3rd point of the night. No, it was not. His 2nd point of the night, and Bolduc. Fantastic play by Bolduc and Texier, by the way, on that forecheck. Right, we saw them. First it was Bolduc creating a turnover behind the net. Then it was Texier, and then Texier was able to get the puck, and he was able to get it to the point to Hutson for the slap shot from the point that ended up resulting in the game-winning goal. Refs have been a joke, letting Tampa get away with more than Montreal has. I guess I agree to that to an extent, Mike Habs, or Habs Mike. Those of you who follow our channel here closely know that I'm not a fan of the refereeing in the NHL in general. I didn't love the game tonight, or the way they called the game tonight. I don't think they were that great. But again, that's kind of par for the course, and as a team in the NHL now, you kind of have to expect that. The reality is that when you play in the NHL nowadays, you're going to get when the game ends, it's probably going to be both teams are going to end up with the same number of power plays, or close to the same number of power plays. And it's not going to really have any relation to the way the game is played or anything like that. It's going to be, it's going to be pretty evenly called regardless, which, is kind of silly. There's very little consistency from one call to the next. And it's just the way it is in the NHL these days. And I don't know what can be done about it, but the rules are not great, and the referees also do a pretty dismal job, in my opinion, of applying the rules. Tonight we saw a scenario where Jakub Dobeš is called for tripping. He's making a save in his crease, right, with his stick. He's in his crease. He's within his rights to try and stop the puck, and when he puts his stick out to make a save, a Tampa Bay player who just happens to be skating in the area trips on his stick and gets called. Dobeš gets called for a penalty. To me, I mean, that's just not. It just doesn't make sense. And then meanwhile, there's a number of sort of far more egregious type penalties, not just on Tampa, but also on Montreal that are let go. And it's just the consistency of the refereeing is just so off that the players are really unable to know what they're allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do on the ice anymore. And it's frustrating. It's unfortunate. It just ruins it. It ruins the game. It ruins the game in a lot of ways. So, Billy D says, tough going for our top line 5-on-5. Yeah, the Canadiens' top line is, I don't want to say they've struggled, because I don't think they've struggled in the sense that they're giving up a lot to the other team. But they've, they haven't put up the offensive production that we've grown accustomed to seeing from them, which is, I guess kind of a good thing in one way, because, the Canadiens are up 2-1 in the series, and yet we haven't really had offensive production from Slavkovsky, Caulfield, and Suzuki as of yet. So, you know, they're able to be ahead in the series despite not having great contributions from those guys. So I guess, you know, if they can get those guys rolling, then that's just an added bonus. I think that those guys are still doing a good job of being, you know, positive impacts. What do we have tonight? That line tonight was Slavkovsky, Caulfield, and Suzuki. Tonight's game at 5-on-5. We had expected goals percentage of 81%. Right? So 80 of the expected goals on the ice, when they were on the ice, 81% of them were in favor of those guys, right? 86% for the Danault, Evans, Anderson line, and 100% for the that's Texier, Suzuki, Anderson. So they probably didn't play that much together. But Texier, Dach, and Bolduc tonight were at 76.7%. So I agree with you, Billy D, completely that, you know, it's been a little bit of a tough going because you do expect a certain amount of offensive production from that group. But on the other hand, they certainly haven't had a negative impact on the team in that they're not letting the team down defensively, or, you know, allowing opportunities for the other team to score when they're on the ice. So why don't we get quickly to our scoreboard here, and let's talk about that, and then we can move on perhaps to some other stuff. The scoreboard tonight, as you see, I've got the scores backwards. Look at that. What a donkey. I have the Tampa Bay Lightning winning 3-2. Of course, that's not the case. The actual reality is that the Montreal Canadiens, of course, did win this game 3-2 in overtime. The first goal of the game was scored by Alexandre Texier from Bolduc and Dach at the 4:53 mark. The Canadiens came out again, as they have all series. They've come out and been the better team in the early stages of the game. They were able to get a goal, a nice play by Dach to create a turnover. Bolduc got the puck to the front of the net to Texier, and Texier was able to score from the, you know, sort of the high slot hash mark area, I guess you would call it, and give the Montreal Canadiens a 1-0 lead. Despite the fact that the Canadiens were carrying the game early on, the referees decided that they were going to call a couple penalties against Montreal. Not sure exactly how that works necessarily, but in this particular case, they chose to call a couple penalties on Montreal. They one in particular. I think we mentioned it earlier, at 6:06, the Canadiens got called for tripping. It was Jakub Dobeš getting called. He actually took 2 minor penalties tonight, which is kind of rare for a goaltender. But Dobeš took a tripping penalty. As I described earlier, he's in his crease, making a save, using his stick to try and control the puck, and Yanni Gourde skates through the crease and steps on his stick and trips over it. And for whatever reason, the officials decided that was going to be a tripping penalty. And on the ensuing power play, Braden Point scores, assisted from Gensel and Kucherov. So after one period, it was 1-1, even up between both teams. Then you had, in the second period early on, you had a goal from Brendan Hagel. He was able to intercept a pass, a bit of a flip pass out of the zone. He knocked it down with his glove, was able to come into the zone, and he beat Dobeš on a shot from sort of the top of the circle. Probably one that Dobeš would want to have back. I guess in fairness, Hagel changed the angle on the shot a little bit and kind of fooled Dobeš that way, but for the most part, it's one that I would say that Dobeš would probably want to have back. But I guess an unassisted goal at the 4:47 mark of the second period. And then you had Kirby Dach, the big night for Kirby Dach, his second point of the night. assisted from Jack-Eye at 12:43 to tie the game at 2, and that's the way we headed into the third period. It was all tied up. So yeah, the game was even heading into the third period. Third period, no scoring, right? A bit of a tight defensive struggle a little bit in the in the third period. We had what were the numbers like? Where I lost that tab. I lost a tab. How did that happen? Natural stat trick. I thought I had a tab for natural stat trick. So in the third period, it was kind of tight. We had, in all situations, the expected goals were just 0.49 to 0.5. Yeah, pretty tight defensive game in the third period. No scoring by either side. So we head to overtime. In 2:09 into the overtime, you have the Lane Hutson goal that we talked about earlier. Great forecheck from from Zachary Bolduc. Bolduc creates a turnover behind the net, and then the puck ends up on Alex Texier's stick behind the goal. Really nice play by Texier, also to win a battle and then get the puck to Lane Hutson at the top of the circle, high point kind of area, and Hutson with a slap shot that we rarely see from him in Garnot, as they described it on TVA. And he is able to beat Vasilevsky and get his second goal of the series and give the Montreal Canadiens a 2-1 lead heading into Sunday's game, game 3 of the series. So the Montreal Canadiens now have a 2-1 lead in the series on the overtime goal by Lane Hutson. Just quickly running through the advanced stats, the Corsi favored Montreal 52-50 for the first time in the series. Shot attempts were dominated by Tampa so far in the series. Actual shots on goal 29-17, so Montreal very dominant in that department tonight. Hits 36-31, so the myth of the Canadiens getting dominated on the physical aspect of the game is continuing to grow. I think this is the second game in a row where the Canadiens out-hit their opponent. They actually win the face-off battle tonight, 26-22. High danger chances for the third game in a row. All 3 games, the Canadiens have dominated the high danger chances. Tampa has had more shot attempts and even in one game more shots, but as far as high danger chances have gone, the Canadiens have been the dominant team in that department. And the expected goals, and of course this is all in all situations, guys. This isn't just in 5-on-5. This is an all situations scenario, 2.21 to 2.03. So the Canadiens basically led all categories when it came to advanced stats tonight. A dominant performance by Montreal, even though the scoreboard, obviously showed a close game. The Canadiens were the better team in all aspects tonight. They had more shot attempts, they had more shots, they had more high danger chances, and they had more expected goals, despite the fact that Tampa had one additional power play. The Canadiens, of course, did not do a very good job. If we have anything to criticize, I think it would be the fact that the Canadiens didn't do a great job on the power play tonight and taking advantage of the power play opportunities that they did get. I believe it was 0 for 5 tonight for Montreal on the power play. 0 for 4, pardon me. Tampa Bay was 1 for 5. So the Canadiens had 4 power plays tonight. Despite the fact that they dominated the game, again, you wonder why a team that carries the puck and carries the possession gets fewer power plays than the team that has the puck less often. But again, we get back to NHL refereeing, which doesn't seem to make any sense at all. Again, any logical human being would tell you that in the NHL, where most penalties occur when the team with the puck is fouled by the team without the puck, you would certainly expect the team that has the puck more often than the team that doesn't have the puck as often. You would think that team would get more power plays. But again, in the NHL, it doesn't necessarily work that way because the referees are not very consistent in the way they call the game. So in this particular case, we had the referees calling more penalties against Montreal, despite the fact that the Canadiens possessed the puck far more often and had at least on 5-on-5, the Canadiens were 41 to 33 on shot attempts, which is an indication of the possession. 30 to 18 on Fenwick and 21 to 10 shots on goal. So if anybody out there believes that they can explain to me how a team that outshoots the other team 21 to 10 could end up having fewer power plays than the other team, then I would certainly invite you to explain that to me. I would love to have that conversation. But again, the NHL refereeing is just absolutely dismal. So ex Bolduc says, beyond proud of Doc. The missed opportunities almost killed us, but we prevailed. Yes, absolutely. I'm very, very, I don't know what I'd say I'm proud of Doc. I mean, for me, Doc is just doing what he does. He's obviously a guy who has struggled. He's probably a guy who has a hard time with his confidence. And tonight things kind of worked out for him and he got the ball rolling. And he just, he changed the scenario, changed the narrative, and hopefully he'll be able to carry that into the rest of the series. But I also agree with you about the missed opportunities as far as the power plays that the Canadiens did get. I think they need to do a better job of taking advantage of those. They had played relatively well on the power play in the first two games of the series, but tonight at 0-4, they certainly had opportunities to put the game out of reach or even give themselves a lead, and they didn't do that. So from that perspective, I agree with you, Bolduc or ex Bolduc, that the Canadiens could have done a better job of taking advantage of those opportunities. Habs need to stop trying fancy stuff on the power play and just shoot it. Last 3 games, the power play has been awful. Go back and do what worked in game 1. There have only been 3 games in the series, Habs, Mike. So the last 2 games, the power play has struggled a little bit. Game 1, it was fine. I believe they scored 2 goals on the power play in game 1. I'm not a big guy on the you have to shoot the puck more. I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to set things up. I don't know that it's necessarily they need to shoot more on the power play. I think there's other issues there. I think there needs to be a little bit more movement on the power play. They're a little bit too static for me, where what I mean by that is they stand still a little bit and sort of pass the puck around standing still. But yeah, the power play is okay. I'm not worried about it. Obviously, you would want them to take advantage of their opportunities a little bit more. The only thing I would say about shooting more is that the Canadiens really have an ability to create offense when the other team is kind of scrambling, and shooting the puck forces the other team to kind of scramble around a little bit. They really have. They've got guys on the ice, particularly guys like Demidov and Hudson, who have the ability to they've got such great vision that they have the ability to find guys when everybody's scrambling around trying to figure things out. They have an ability to sort of move the puck to the right guy in the right situation when that's going on. So, I'm with that. Bolduc, agree, buddy, on Doc and 3 breakaways. Yes, the Canadiens had multiple breakaways tonight. One from Caulfield, one from Demidov, and one from Anderson. Funny thing is, Anderson tried to deke while both Caulfield and Demidov tried to shoot. You would have expected that to be the reverse. Caulfield, of course, fanned on his shot attempt. And wasn't able to even really get a shot on goal. But if they keep playing that way and getting those opportunities, that's going to work. I got you, Habs Mike, on the comment. I understand what you meant by last 2 games and not last 3 games. I had no problem with the refs at all tonight. Missed calls on both sides, but we shouldn't focus on that. Power play was brutal, anyways. Yeah, I mean, my problem with the referees is not always that it advantages or disadvantages one team or the other. Balduke. It's more about the ongoing inconsistency of the refereeing. Um, that's kind of my biggest issue. Again, when you have a game where one team essentially has twice as many shots as the other team, you certainly wouldn't expect the power plays to be even or to favor the team with the fewer shots, right? Anybody with any level of logic or rational thought would say that the team who possesses the puck more often would be the beneficiary of more power plays, right? If the other team has the puck all the time, you're more likely to take a penalty, right? The vast majority of penalties in the NHL occur when a player. Recliner Sports 4 is the YouTube channel, guys, if you want to join us on YouTube. Um, Common sense tells you that if one team is controlling and carrying and possessing the puck, that they would get more power plays, right? The vast majority of penalties in the NHL occur when one team has the puck and the other team doesn't have the puck. It's usually the team that doesn't have the puck that creates or causes the penalty. Now, obviously, that's not always the case. High sticking might not be always that way. I mean, it usually would be that way, and there's certain penalties that happen otherwise. But for the most part, that's the scenario. So to me, it baffles me that the Montreal Canadiens would outshoot Tampa Bay tonight, 21-10, at even strength, and yet Tampa Bay got 5 power plays and Montreal only got 4. So that's the only. I'm with you. I'm with you about that it's not something to focus on, but it's just something that doesn't really make sense to me. Yeah, I don't bother with the refs, good or bad. It's not something we can control. Well, it's not, but I mean, we can still talk about it. And I think it's a big failing or a big weak point of the NHL. Tampa Bay made adjustments on their PK. Not a fan of Cooper, but he is smart. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, he's not. Not only is he smart, but he's got. It's a veteran group there, right? They're smart players as well. They're not dummies by any means. On TikTok, we got Weird Al says, "What's my thoughts on Caulfield and Suzuki?" Yeah, I mean, it's like I said earlier. Yeah, they're kind of struggling from an offensive production point of view. They're not putting the numbers up on the board that we've sort of grown accustomed to seeing from them. That said, I think it might be, it might be a positive to think that the Canadiens are now up 2-1 in this series without having had the full benefit of their offensive production. Right? Is it, I mean, if those guys get rolling, that's a dynamic that you can add to the scenario. And as of now, they're not getting that production from the first line, but they're still producing victories. So from that perspective, it's one way of looking at it. Stand by. I'm just checking out the WHL score here. The Medicine Hat Tigers, of course, the Bryce Pickford's Medicine Hat Tigers are down 6-2 in the first game of their playoff series, round 3, I believe. And Bryce Pickford has 0 points. He is a +1, despite his team being down 6-2, and has 2 shots on goal, but he has not yet registered a point. But yeah, the refereeing is just, it's not good in the NHL. And, sometimes it benefits the Canadiens. Sometimes it hurts them. And, tonight, I mean, as people have said, the power play wasn't good anyways. And so it didn't really make that big of a difference. But again, I'm just baffled by the fact that a team could outshoot the other team 2-1 in a game and take more penalties than the other team. It just doesn't make any common sense to me. And like I said, if there's anybody out there that can explain it, I would love to hear it. I agree, but we can't harp on the refs for anything. It's easy to sit on the couch and call everything. But when it's Stanley Cup playoffs and the game is going 100 miles per hour, it's a lot harder. Yeah, I'm not harping on it by any means, Balduke. I mean, if you've been on my lives before, you know that it's just a common pet peeve of mine that the refereeing in the NHL is bad. I'm not harping on it. Tonight, I don't think it had a huge impact on the Canadiens in a negative way or a positive way. I don't think either team was benefited by the referees. But at the end of the day, 99% of the time, you're going to get a game where the teams get at least, the same number of penalties or very close to the same number of penalties, regardless of how the game goes. And, that's just not the intention of refereeing in hockey, right? Refereeing in hockey should be about protecting the players from injury and ensuring that that the game is fair and played in a way that's fair and just to both sides. And it's just not the way the games are reffed, right? The idea that the refs have now is that they want to make sure that they don't really impact the game in any significant way. And, their approach to doing that is by calling the same number of penalties against both teams and calling the game differently, depending on, whether you're at the beginning of the game or the end of the game. And I'm not a fan of that. So again, it's not a situation where I'm complaining that the game was, that the Canadiens lost or were negatively affected by the referees, but it's just the refereeing's not good. The Mammoth up 4-1 on the Golden Knights. Jack Eichel has the sole goal for Las Vegas, while Lawson Krause has 2 goals. Dylan Guenther has a goal. Gunther and Mackenzie Wigger also have has a goal for the Mammoth. The Ducks lead the Oilers 2-1. Goals for the Ducks from Granlund and McTavish. Vasily Podkolzin has the goal for the Oilers. Definitely need to capitalize on our power play and breakaways. Well, I mean, the breakaways are the breakaways. You can't. I mean, yeah, it'd be nice if they scored on those breakaways, but, it is what it is. As far as the power play goes, yeah, the power play's been fine. They're not going to, sometimes they're going to go 0 for 4, right? I mean, a good power play produces at a rate of about 30%. The Canadiens scored 2 goals on the power play in game 1. So I'm not overly concerned about the power play. Bolduc, I like the new major rule. Once penalty is called, major can be reviewed. I hate it. I mean, like, what are we doing? We're artificially calling penalties in order to review them and just like I don't get that. I hate it. Right, just because I mean, I don't hate the idea behind it. I don't hate the idea behind, being able to review a penalty and seeing what should be called. But the idea that you're, after the fact, like you've decided that there's not a penalty on the play based on what you've seen, but because of, either the fan reaction or the way the crowd has responded to it, now you're going to call a 5-minute penalty so that you can review it and then determine whether there's a penalty, whether there's a minor, whether there's a major, or whether there's no penalty at all. I hate that. It's just, I mean, it makes no sense. To me, if I were in charge of refereeing in the NHL, you'd have a spotter, right? You'd have somebody up in the stands with a microphone or with who you could communicate directly with the referees, who could let them know whether or not there was a call or should be a call, or whether there was something that happened on the ice that they might have missed. But this idea of artificially calling penalties so that you can review it doesn't really jive with me. Nicholas on TikTok says no major penalty against Tampa. Danault was bleeding. Yeah, absolutely. Although I think that on that play, Nicholas, I think it actually turned out that it was Jack Eye's stick that hit Danault. Um, I think they I think they showed that on the replay. I could be wrong on that, but I think that's what happened on that play. But yeah, I'm not. I'm really not. I get the point, Balduke, and I get the idea that there should be some way, but I just don't like the way that they artificially review penalties in that way. If they're gonna have a review, then let's have a review. Let's do it for real. Let's not like pretend or fake our way around it. All right, guys, let's do the A team. That was for Demidov. No, I'm not sure, Nicholas. Not sure about that. The A team guys tonight. If you're not watching us on YouTube, you're not seeing the graphics. But if you are, you get to see the graphics tonight. The A team tonight. No surprises here. Kirby Doc, Alex Texier, Arbor Jackeye, and Lane Hudson. Um, yeah, I don't know if you agree with that or disagree. If you think that there's anybody that I've chosen on my A team. The A team, of course, is my version of the 3 stars. It's the players, the 4 players for the Montreal Canadiens that I believe had the biggest impact on the game. Kirby Doc, pretty obvious goal and assist, bit of a redemption, I guess, if you want to call it that. I'm not one that's been jumping on the I hate Kirby Doc bandwagon the way. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to clean that. Oh, there we go. Look at that. So much better. I'm not a guy who's been on the I hate Kirby Doc bandwagon like so many others. Um, but he did make a mistake or make a bad play or was involved in a bad play that resulted in the overtime game winner from JJ Moser in game 2. And so for him to come around tonight and score a goal and add an assist and play a very solid game all around, certainly made a huge difference, and it was a bit of a redemption for him tonight. So for me, he definitely deserves a spot on the A team. Alex Texier, I think, just played a solid game all around. 2 assists tonight for Texier, I believe. I just thought he played a good game. After, I don't know if I would go as far as to say he struggled in game 2, but he wasn't overly apparent. He wasn't sort of in the middle of everything in game 2, and tonight with the goal and assist for Texier was a good comeback from him as well. That line with Bolduc, certainly performed very well tonight. Bolduc certainly could deserve a spot on this A team tonight as well. That whole line played well, and Bolduc has had a good series all around. Let's be honest. Bolduc is probably playing some of his best hockey that he's played since being traded to the Montreal Canadiens. This is some of the best hockey he's played. But tonight I have to give it to Doc and Texier. Sometimes the points give you the benefit of the doubt, but I think Bolduc is doing a great job playing his role. Nice physical contact, physical game. He good forecheck, creating turnovers in the offensive zone. He looked really, really sharp tonight. Arbor Jackeye had a great game tonight. Somewhat limited time on ice for Jackeye tonight. He finished the game with. Let's make sure that I got this updated to being the right. Let's see what we got here. 10 minutes and 40 seconds, which isn't a ton. But it's pretty decent. I thought he looked good on the ice tonight. Used his physicality well. I mean, he didn't throw any big bomb body checks, but he was physical. He did knock guys down, put guys on their rear ends when they needed to be put on their rear ends. He moved the puck well. Got some shots as well. Did he get shots on goal? I know he got shots attempts. Where are we here? Where's Arbor Jackeye? Shots on goal. He had 2 shots on goal tonight. Where is Corsi? Corsi 4. Number of shot attempts, I think. We're not going to give shot attempts on here. Shot attempts, 5. So yeah, I thought he was involved in the offense tonight. He did hit a post. Yeah, I thought Jack Eye was very involved tonight. Was very responsible defensively. Kept things simple. Like I said, he wasn't throwing big body checks, but he was knocking guys down when they needed to be knocked down. And then of course you have Lane Hutson. Lane Hutson just played his normal, usual, solid game all game. And then I think a lot of people might wonder, his defensive game has been solid, but some people might be wondering about whether or not his offensive game has kind of fallen off a little bit, and he's not producing points at the level that he has in the past. But tonight he had a solid game on the defensive side of things, and then of course he stepped up when it meant the most in overtime on the great play from Bolduc and Texier, and then of course he scores on the slapper from the point. Which we haven't seen a ton from him, but that's that's Lane Hutson, right? Whatever it takes to win, whatever it takes to make a play, he's willing to do it. And shooting the puck is probably not something that he's completely comfortable with, but tonight was a scenario where it was his best option, and he took it, and he was able to put the puck in the net. So now we've got 3 points, 2 goals and assist in 3 games for Lane Hutson. That's 7 points in 7 career playoff games, a point per game in the playoffs for a 21-year-old. 21, 22. What's Lane Hutson now? What are we talking? Lane Hutson is 22 years old. 22-year-old kid. He's averaging a point per game in the playoffs in his career. 1 goal, 6. Well, that's not right because that hasn't been updated yet. He currently in his career has 8 points in 8 games. He's got 2 goals and 6 assists in 8 career NHL games. Arbor and Struble have been great together. Arbor played physical but smart. Yeah, that's the game that you want to see from Arbor Jack Eye, right? You want to see him play smart, play simple hockey. That's his game, right? When he gets in trouble, sometimes it's about him trying to do too much out there. So I thought he played well. Brandon says he's not a Habs fan, and I think they go to the East Final. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I don't know that I'm going to go that far. For now, I'm just happy that the Canadiens are playing good hockey. They're getting experience. They're learning lessons, and yeah, to me, that's what it's all about for this Canadiens team. They're playing a team that's far more experienced than they are, a team that has a lot more pedigree when it comes to playoff hockey. But yeah, they're a good team. When they get rolling, they can be pretty hard to beat. In my opinion, the Habs and Canes look the best in the East. Well, yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, the Canes are up 3-0. The Canadiens are only up 2-1, so there's a little bit of a difference. From that perspective, the Canes have a little bit more playoff experience and pedigree from a playoff point of view than the Canadiens do. But yeah, I mean, like I said, the Canadiens are a good young group. Their deficiencies typically are the result of a lack of experience. But a team that is young and lacks experience can be very good if they can get some confidence and start the ball rolling and get some momentum going. First star of the game tonight, says PLW. Marty St. Louis, believing in this group. His stubbornness is his best quality also. Yeah, I don't disagree. I mean, I'm a bit in the same boat, right? I'm not somebody who typically turns somebody out because they play, they have a bad game or they make a few bad plays. I mean, Kirby Dach has had a decent start to the series. He had a decent first 2 games. I'm not going to say he's played his best hockey, but he certainly hasn't struggled nearly as much as people have made it out to be. yeah, I mean, I'm not sure that that's who you're talking about, PLW, but yeah, I mean, sometimes you have to show some faith in your team, and that's part of the character and part of the identity that this team has, right? Is that they're sort of in this whole thing together, and they sort of stick together. Edmonton just took the lead, says Frank. The Gooch on TikTok says we need Caulfield to get rolling. So I assume you mean that they need to get him rolling from an offensive perspective. Caulfield had a fantastic game tonight, right? Caulfield tonight was expected goals percentage of, I think he was one of the best on the team, 85%, right? So Caulfield tonight, expected goals, 85% in his favor when he's on the ice. But yeah, you're right. I mean, offensive production is something that you count on Cole Caulfield for, and I think, as I've said a few times already here tonight, the fact that the Canadiens are up 2-1 despite having minimal offensive production from that first line, some would view that as a good sign, right? They've gotten good production from their other lines. But yeah, if Caulfield gets rolling and Suzuki gets rolling and Slavkovsky, gets rolling at 5-on-5, then it's definitely going to be a bonus for them. So far they've done it without that offensive production at 5-on-5, and it's only going to be to their benefit if they do. PLW says, "Yep, talking about MSL faith in Doc tonight. I personally wanted Veleno or Gallian." Yeah, I mean, I've if you went back and listened to the show after the last game, I said that I wouldn't have had any problem with either Galli or Veleno coming into the game. But at the same time, I didn't really view Doc as being nearly as much of a liability as a lot of people have made him out to be. But it is what it is. I have all the faith in Doc, and I understand why the team continues to play him, because they view him as the potential that he has in his ceiling, and if he gets rolling and plays the way he's capable of playing, then we see him do things like he did tonight. And that's that was what I said on Tuesday. That's what I said on Tuesday, and I stand by that, right? Like they know what they're doing. They're not stupid. What do we got over here on TikTok? Tampa definitely changed up their PK, attacking quicker when the Canadiens are on the PP. Yeah, I mean, I think that the Canadiens obviously play better on the power play when they're moving, when they're in motion. Um, you know, Tampa, when they're not in motion, it allows Tampa to put more pressure on them, right? It allows Tampa to attack, to force them to make mistakes. I would like to see them move a little bit more and be more active on the power play, but I'm not overly worried about it. Their power play has been good when it needs to be good. Obviously tonight, they could have used that power play. A goal or two might have, it'd be nice to have a game where they're not, either tied or within a goal. It'd be nice to see them have a game where they can get up by a goal or two. We don't have to go to overtime. So St. Louis is 2 big calls so far, taking the timeout in overtime in game 1, and Doc playing tonight. I just don't really think that it was much of a. I mean, I'm not going to say it was a no-brainer to play Doc tonight, but I don't necessarily think it was as big of a decision that a lot of people are making it out to be. PLW, bad news. Uh-oh. First line lack of production at 5v5 so far. Good news. Sooner or later they will show up. Yeah. I mean, the Canadiens have managed to take a 2-1 series lead without getting a ton of production from the line that has really led the way for them so far this season. from an offensive production point of view. So, you're right. That's the good news and the bad news. The good news is that despite not producing much offensively, that the teams that line still is a very very strong. As far as what do we say tonight there? That line tonight, on ice expected goals for percentage of 81%, right? So despite the fact that they're not putting the puck in the net, they're also not giving up a whole lot either. So Frank says, this win was a big step forward. This win was a big step forward. If they keep the momentum, and you never know, the next game would be a bigger win. Yeah, I think I understand what you mean there. Yeah, it is. They've got some momentum now. They're up 2-1. If they can win, like you say, if they can win the next game, then they're, they put themselves on the verge of winning the series. So, yeah, fan the Riz God says he's a Tampa fan, and he says that the Canadiens deserve the game. I think the Canadiens were the better team tonight, and they've been the better team in pretty much all three games in this series as far as statistics go. Shot attempts have favored Tampa, but actual shots, scoring chances, high danger chances, and expected goals have favored Montreal. So, but that's not necessarily how you win or lose games. I mean, Tampa's a veteran group, and they know how to beat teams in different ways, and Montreal may not quite be there in that respect, but there's still a ways to go in this series. The series is by no means anywhere close to being finished. So Doc, not only playing but playing at center, was MSL big? Yeah, sure. Showing Doc some confidence, giving him some a bit of a boost heading into into the game. To me, Doc is a guy who has had every bad thing that could possibly happen to him, and for the coach to give him that sort of boost of confidence going into a game, in the worst of scenarios, that goes a long way sometimes for a kid like that, right? Like, he's a kid who probably struggles with his confidence a little bit because of all of the things that have happened to him over the years, and dealing with a fan base that continues to jump down his throat, and call for him to be pulled out of the lineup, and media members who are asking him questions about it all the time, and writing about it and whatever. He's a kid who probably struggles with his confidence to an extent, and for the coach to show him that confidence probably goes a long way. And tonight he was able to repay that back, and I thought he looked really good tonight. And I personally don't think that he's looked that bad in this series. Certainly not to the degree that a lot of people in the media have made it out to be. And I mean, those of you who've watched the show know I've always supported Doc, and I really look forward to hopefully him having an opportunity to stay healthy for a prolonged period of time, and to get to the point where he can play the way he's capable of. I see another thumbs up there, guys. Thanks very much. If you're watching the live and you are enjoying the content, give us a thumbs up. If you watch afterwards, if you're watching tomorrow morning or whenever, then a thumbs up would be greatly appreciated as well. The thumbs up certainly help us in the YouTube algorithm and get us a little bit more exposure. So if you're able to do that, that would be great. I see James, I thank you for the follow over on TikTok. Where am I from? I'm from Canada, James. How about yourself? Where are you from? Frank says, the dream final every Canadian wants, Edmonton Oilers versus Montreal for the Stanley Cup. That would be a dream come true. Yeah. I mean, I guess for every Canadian, that would be the dream come true. As a Canadiens fan, the dream would be simply to be there. I don't care who it's against, quite frankly. I don't see Edmonton getting to the Stanley Cup final. I probably don't see Montreal getting to the Stanley Cup final, but I certainly would enjoy. I certainly would enjoy it if they did. Oshawa, home of the Generals. Okay, James. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be picky if the Canadiens are going to make it to the Stanley Cup Finals. I'm not going to be picky about who they play against. But from I think Frank, the point you're trying to make is that an all Canadian Stanley Cup Final would be fun to watch. So yeah, be interesting to see. But again, I don't really envision either of those teams being favored to make it to a Stanley Cup Final. But it would be nice if they did. Thumbs up, guys. Come on. I see there's 4 people watching and only 2 of you have liked the live. Obviously, if you're not liking it, then that's fine. You don't have to tap that button. But if you're not subscribed, do so. Tap down below. I know that only about 30% of the people who watch the show are actually subscribed. We could certainly use your help in trying to get us to 500 subscribers. I think we're actually at 500 subscribers, but yeah, the more the merrier. Friend of mine, his father has a podcast. Okay, James. I'm not sure what podcast that is. Which podcast are you talking about? Yeah, if you're not subscribed, guys, yeah, there's a button just down below here where you can tap on, and that'll make you a subscriber. You can hit the notification bell. You can hit the thumbs up. I see we just got a 3rd thumbs up. I appreciate that. Oilers versus Habs would be Gary Bettman's nightmare. Yeah, I think this whole Gary Bettman narrative is kind of overplayed a little bit. Gary Bettman doesn't give a shit. Gary Bettman takes his marching orders from the NHL team owners. Obviously, an all-Canadian Stanley Cup Final is not ideal from a TV ratings point of view, particularly where Edmonton's involved. I mean, Toronto, Montreal obviously would be a lot better, but yeah, I mean, I'm not a big Gary Bettman hater. I mean, I don't love Gary Bettman, but it's not because I think that Gary Bettman's not a decision maker. Anything to do with the Habs? What's the podcast called, James? Do you know the name of the podcast? What do we think, guys? It's 12:30 here in Halifax. Again, we've got another game that went to overtime, so that's pushing us into the early hours of the morning. Of course, we're a little better off with it being a Friday, so therefore I don't necessarily have to get up as early and be productive on a Saturday as I would on a weekday, but I think we're probably getting close to the end of the line here tonight. As far as questions and comments go. Thanks so much, everybody, for coming. PLW and Billy D, Frank, Balduke was on here earlier. I don't know if we outlast Coach Frenchie tonight. Normally, if we outlast Coach Frenchie, we get some people will join us from his live and join our live. I know Billy D and PLW are regulars on Coach Frenchie's live, so I don't know if you guys have come by after his live ended or whether or not he's still going or not. But yeah, anyways, it's been fun as usual. It's always great to talk about the Montreal Canadiens. It's always even more fun to talk about the Canadiens. Did I go to the game? Asked Spencer. I did not. I do not live in Montreal, so I do not get the opportunity to go to the games. Frank, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I do hope to get more subscribers as well. What part of the spectrum do I support? What spectrum are you referring to, bad boy? What am I saying here? Yeah, thank you guys for joining us. Like I said, I don't know if I was able to get too many guys over from the Coach Frenchie's live, but some of you guys come over if you haven't yet. I appreciate it. But yeah, if you're watching the show live, give us a thumbs up. If you're watching after the fact, give us a thumbs up as well. If you have questions or comments, on n'a pas eu l'opportunité ce soir, comme d'habitude, de répondre à vos questions en français, mais on est certainement prêt à vous parler, à discuter au sujet des Canadiens en anglais ou en français. Tonight we didn't get a chance to speak any French, but typically we were happy to do so. And if you want to speak in French, then certainly join us. If you're watching after the fact, if you're watching tomorrow morning or whenever, certainly tap the like button, the thumbs up. We've only got the 3 thumbs up tonight, which is low. But again, also subscribers. The more subscribers, the better. Help us grow. Help us get bigger. We're trying to give everybody a place where you can come and talk about the Canadiens and talk about the game in an objective manner, a little bit of more intelligent than some of the other BS you get on the internet these days. So hopefully we can give you guys the opportunity to do that. That's what I'm trying to do here. And if that's something that interests you or that you're down for, like I said, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, give us a thumbs up. And yeah, we're happy to do it. Montreal Canadiens, big 3-2 win. They take a 2-1 lead in the series. They will play again on Sunday night against Tampa in Game 4. They will hope to go up 3-1 in the series. All 3 games have gone to overtime. The overtime winner tonight scored at the 2:09 mark by Lane Hudson, assisted by Zachary Bolduc and Alexandre Texier. Huge win for Montreal. A huge win for Montreal fans. Let's hope that they can keep it going. Let's hope that they can continue to dominate the Tampa Bay Lightning, much like they did tonight, and that they can continue to carry that momentum into the next game and through the end of the series. So enjoy the rest of your night, guys. Enjoy the victory. Enjoy your Saturday, and we will see you all on Sunday. Have a great night. Thanks for joining us, and peace out.
To Hoffman, Monahan parked in front, docks to Caulfield, fires, scores!
You are about to enter Habs After Dark with Recliner Sports.